and welcome to the podcast where good trivia gets rewarded and bad lies get punished. But will we catch the lies? This is What's the Fact?
Yes, I'm Ryan Whittal. This is Warren Robertson, and it's great to have you with us on another lovely episode. Dietz, our producer, sitting in his little dark corner, has thought of something really hectic which is going to nail us. You know, he doesn't even have to be in a dark little corner. He actually wants to.
I know.
Yeah.
I actually...
It's not like you could do this from out in the open in the light, but no.
I came today and I tried to lure him out of the cave with sweets. I just put them like Hansel and Gretel, like a trail out into the light. Wouldn't follow them.
He's got a little cupboard in there.
Wouldn't follow them.
One day we should check out.
The thing is, this topic isn't actually entirely Dietz's fault. It's one that got sent in by a how would you call it? A listener?
Yes, a listener,
watcher?
a fan.
Oh, I think that's a strong word. I think, a
worshipper.
A worshiper. Yeah.
Can we say her name?
A cultist, yeah.
Michelle. Yeah, Michelle. Shout out, Michelle.
Yeah, so thanks very much, Michelle. The topic this week is it's actually quite of a strange one, I found, because it's unexplained mysteries.
Yes.
Which it turns out they're unexplained because there aren't too many facts about them. Which made it quite an interesting one to kind of dive into the stories and start researching.
Yeah, and call the show What's the Fact? Yes.
Okay.
And then we messaged each other at some point before and said someone mentioned the word or phenomenon. So that got me thinking in a different direction for some of them. And
I think it's the word unexplained.
Yes.
That's the most important part, I think.
Stuff
in the world. These are the stuff in the world what are unexplained episode.
Flip, eh?
Yeah, lekker. I can't remember whose turn it is.
How this country's still carrying on strong is one of the great unexplained mysteries of the...
How certain people have managed to keep their job for so many decades. And I'm not gonna badmouth Eskom specifically.
How certain politicians have stayed out of prison so well.
Yeah,
is unexplained mystery.
No, these are not the phenomenon we're going to be diving into because I think we know why they've managed to stay out of prison.
Oh, yeah, we do.
On some deep.
Oh, thanks.
Oh yes.
Hi, hello, darling.
We haven't seen our Mona Lisa in a little while.
Obviously, Warren came by and Dietz was clever enough to hide it in his little cave.
That's right, because Warren came by to reclaim it from us because we haven't paid in some months now.
Nah.
We basically figured if we can't afford to pay $600 million a month, why should we bother to pay anything?
I sent him an IOU email saying as soon as we hit 2 million subscribers, we're going to make that installment.
I mean, we might go on a yacht. Like it's up in the air at the moment. We haven't really decided. We know he doesn't listen though, so it's fine.
But that's risk management, Barent. You want to loan us the money for this? It's your risk,
That's right. You should have had the actuaries look at it a little more closely. Anyway,
who's going first?
I can't remember who's going first. I'm going to
do it.
And I'm starting with one of the biggest unexplained mysteries of the world. One that basically everybody will have heard of. It's called the Mary Celeste.
Yes.
And now there's a couple of people who are saying, "Oh no, I've never heard of that. Am I stupid?" And the answer to that is yes. But no, so the Mary Celeste is basically your prototypical unexplained mystery, right? Yeah. What happened on that abandoned British American ship called the Mary Celeste? Because essentially what happened was it was a ship that was found by guys from another ship and it was floating in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Everything was fine on board, but one lifeboat was missing and the whole crew was gone. What happened to them? Why did they abandon ship? Nobody knows. And that's why it's become one of the enduring unexplained mysteries. And my fact is, people do know.
Oh my. Wouldn't that be sad that it's a mystery for so long and then One Oak on Mythbusters goes, what was this? But no one watched that episode. And so...
it's still in all the unexplained mystery books. It's still, it's
Mary Celeste, I do know. Maybe they were taken captive. I remember either reading up on it or seeing something on it within the last sort of 10 years as well. Do people know? Do they know? It wasn't a big fat hijacking, and then they took the loot as well and took them as slaves. No, I'm going to say they still don't know. I'm going to say you're lying. You started with a lie.
I mean, Ryan, you're correct.
Ha!
They have
Yes.
theories. They have some pretty strong theories, but they can't know for sure, right? Right.
Oh.
So basically, let me give some background.
Disease was maybe one. A disease broke out.
So there's a lot of theories. On December 4th, 1872, what happened is this ship, Mary Celeste, was found floating in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The crewmen's belongings were still in their quarters.
Oh.
All of the ship's 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol was still on board.
Jeez.
It had 3 foot of water in the hull, but there was no leak or anything, and this is not an unusual amount of water for there to have been there. One lifeboat was missing, the entire crew was gone, and one of the pumps, the bilge pumps, was dismantled. That was it. Otherwise, they were like, it basically looked like a perfectly healthy ship, and they have no idea why it would be empty. And as you say, there've been all sorts of theories over the years. Arthur Conan Doyle made it popular. The writer of Sherlock Holmes, he made the whole thing popular because he wrote an 1884 short story based on the case, where he posited that a vengeful ex-slave had killed them all and dumped the bodies. And a 1935 movie featuring Bela Lugosi said that one of the crewmen had done it, had kind of like murdered all of these guys. And this sort of sparked this frenzy of people trying to work out exactly what happened on board the ship. And of course, there've been all sorts of theories, like an attack by some sort of sea monster, pirates, slavers. And basically now what's happened is the investigators have kind of looked at it and said, well, here are a couple plausible theories. And until a few years ago, the most plausible theory was that 9 of those barrels were empty. They were of the 1,701 barrels, most of them were white oak barrels, but there were 9 red oak barrels, which are more porous, and they were empty. And people assumed that what happened is that the alcohol evaporated into the air, caused some sort of flash explosion that wouldn't have scarred or damaged anything, but possibly because it could have caused people to jump overboard or abandon the boat, or cause some sort of problem. Yeah, but now the most recent theory, and this is the one that people are sort of believing, is that people have looked at this boat where it was found, they've tracked the currents, and they've worked out that actually it probably was abandoned about 4 or 5 days earlier, and then it drifted to that position where it was. And the reason why it had been abandoned was that they had been expecting to hit the Azores, and they hadn't seen the Azores because they were 150 miles off of where they should have been due to a faulty piece of equipment. And essentially this meant that they started panicking, started worrying. They hit a storm, which then flooded the hold with that 3 foot of water. They said that before it had been carrying coal, and the coal dust had been washed by this water into the pumps, which is why the pumps weren't working, and they tried to dismantle it. And then the next morning they'd finally seen the Azores, and the captain made a decision where he didn't know how much water was in the hold. He assumed it was a lot because the hold was full of barrels and stuff. He assumed it was a lot. He didn't know the condition of the damage. And because the pumps weren't working, he made a call to abandon the ship at that point.
Jeez.
That's the current existing theory. It does make a lot of sense,
And the Azores is just off West Africa. It's not. Well, it's not quite a way of West Africa, but it's not quite the Caribbean. It's more this side.
I think it's the last bit of land before you actually venture on, because they were going from America to Genoa. They're in Italy. So that was. It would have been the last piece of land that they would have seen. So they believe that at that stage, him thinking, well, listen, I've got faulty navigation equipment. Who knows what's going on with the hull? Let's get out and jump. The only sort of downside to that is that, what happened to the people? Surely, they would have made it to the Azores, and then, maybe then they hit another storm before they made the Azores or whatever it was. But they did vanish. The people did actually, in fact, vanish. I like the fact. This is a well-known fact, and has been posited by many great thinkers, that if you take the name Mary Celeste and you make an anagram out of the letters, it says meta scary eel. It's possible that's what happened to them. But also, ultimately you are correct. Whatever you'd said, truth or lie, I think I would have given to you anyway, because there is now a reliable theory as to what happened to the Mary Celeste, and it is a plausible one.
But it's crazy that the people are missing. That is crazy.
So that one of the big things, the reason that 1935 Bela Lugosi movie happened, was because there were 2 brothers. and they who were sailing on the boat, and their stuff was missing from the hold. They were the only crewmen whose stuff was gone. So there was this theory that these two brothers had killed the other members of the crew. But the family of those two brothers say that no, in fact, earlier that year, all of their stuff had been lost at sea. So they actually had nothing. They'd signed on to this thing, basically skinned, trying to make themselves some money back over the journey. So they actually had no motivation.
So was it a passenger thing or was it a cargo thing? Well,
it was a cargo thing, carrying this industrial
stuff.
alcohol. Yeah, and there was only 7 crew, and then the family of the captain, who's like 2-year-old daughter.
So
and
not
his
a lot
wife.
of crew, hey? Not a
Yeah,
lot of
so
people.
it
Not
just
like
has-
a passenger liner that's like
No,
hundreds.
no.
Wow.
So, but yeah, so they did just vanish. We don't know
Wow.
what happened to them.
Jeez.
But there is at least now a plausible theory.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Well, talking of missing persons, let's dive straight into that. I think this is possibly one of America's most well-known, high-profile political missing persons thing. And
Barney
that's
the dinosaur.
Barney the dinosaur.
Yeah, what happened to him? Where did he go?
Yeah, because he's big and purple, and you'd
You're
think
right.
someone would have seen him.
I mean, maybe they shot him and made him into a rug. Fingers crossed.
Lovely.
You know?
I would have preferred him to be one of those big things in the corner of your playroom. They call him a puff. Not meaning anything funny or punny about that.
No, you're being.
Barney the
That's
Puff.
definitely
No.
not 1970s slang you're using there.
No, it's a thing. It was called
Yeah.
a puff. Was, eh?
Wasn't it like a big bean bag?
Why not just say
Beanbag.
beanbag? Why'd I have to say Barney the dinosaur the puff?
I don't know.
Big dead purple puff. big.
No,
missing-
Ryan.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So Jimmy Hoffa.
Ah,
Jimmy
right, Jimmy
Hoffa.
Hoffa.
Yeah,
as played by Al Pacino.
Oh wow, is that?
Is it Al Pacino? Is it Jack Nicholson? It's Jack Nicholson and Al Pacino, possibly.
Well,
I think he was played by Jack
My
Nicholson
fact
in the
is-
last movie.
I'm just quickly going to pivot on that fact then.
Oh, really? Was that your fact? Come, do your fact. Let me hear.
He's no. I've got a thing here.
Okay.
So we'll talk about Jimmy Hoffa first, but he's been referenced in 5 TV shows as well.
Oh, okay. I mean, it makes sense. I would have thought he would have at least 5. You know, I'm sure any kind of mafia-related movie or TV show could easily reference him. You know, because he's the union boss. You know, he's the famous guy.
So did you watch the Al Pacino movie? That was called The Irishman.
Yeah, but
And did
I'm
you watch
thinking about specifically. I think
Hoffa?
Hoffa. Yeah.
Yes, in the 90s. So, I mean, the thing is, I don't know what you know about his circumstances, but it is so fishy. I think there's a motive. There's definitely people implicated. The whole thing was, yes, a hell of a story and a unionist. And it's quite inspiring because he started working in what was his first job? It was in a laundromat or something. And then it was like earning cuck pay and terrible hours. And he joined on the grassroots level these unions and he started protesting for better wages. And he sort of galvanized the movement. And then he joined another movement. And he was the one, after joining the Teamsters, that was the big one that he joined. But he got the truckers involved. And like sort of by the 60s, he'd got like most of North America's truckers involved in this union. And he took the numbers from when he started, like 30,000 members. There was about 2.5 million members in the 60s when he was president of the Teamsters. And of course, he went to jail for fraud and all sorts of things. But the circumstances around his death was he got out of jail because he made a deal with Nixon that good behavior and all that stuff, but he won't be a union leader for another 10 years because of the fraud and all that stuff. But then he tried to say, no, that wasn't fair, and he never agreed to that. And then it was the mafia bosses who were like, I think it was all about the pension fund of the Teamsters. So when he stepped down as president, he got a payout in the 60s of like 1.5 million for his pension. So there was money to be made. Now, and then they were saying now the mob bosses in New York were controlling the pension fund, and knowing that he was going to get back as president. So, but the day of his thing, man. There was a guy who organized the meeting between these two mafia bosses. It was supposed to be at a restaurant in Detroit, and he got there, and no one was at the restaurant, so he was walking around the parking lot, and then people saw someone else arrive, and he shook hands. Then no one knows what happened after that. Then he was just missing. But he was stood up. But surely it's like, excuse me, who was he supposed to meet? It's in his diary. Other people know about it. But
I mean, if you were going to kidnap someone, let's hypothetically play this out. If you were going to kidnap someone, would you kidnap someone at a meeting they were supposed to be having with you? Probably not, right? I mean, that seems a little short-sighted. But like, yes, let's get my name in his diary. He's going to be here at this time, meeting with me.
So there's your alibi.
And then he's going to vanish.
Or...
No, that seems a bit shifty, right? That seems. I mean, it's not. It's either the most brazen thing anybody's ever done.
That's what I think.
Yeah, or somebody's framing whoever he was meeting with.
Yeah, I mean, because he was high profile. Everyone knew about him. He got a presidential pardon or something, you know.
And then he literally just vanished, and they haven't found his body.
No. And there are sort of theories. And then over the years, the funny thing is you got people in prison or mob people saying, I know what happened to Jimmy Hoffa. I saw him. I killed him. I shot him in a house in Detroit, and they put his body in a thing. And then as soon as someone says that, the FBI react on it. And they've gone and dug up all sorts of places all over the United States. Can't find Jimmy Hoffa, man. He was apparently under the Giants Stadium. Is that the Detroit Giants? I don't know which Giants. In New York.
Man.
They checked the stadium, couldn't find Jimmy Hoffa. He's really been missing. I think it was cremation.
I mean, there's really a lot of ways you could get rid of a body if you were really kind of determined to do it, right?
Yeah. But Jimmy Hoffa, no one saw nothing and no one's saying anything. Come on, it's Jimmy Hoffa.
Hey man,
what are you talking about?
Hey man, they got Michael Jackson and Elvis as well. Like, those guys aren't dead; they're out there somewhere.
So, is it referenced in 5 TV shows? That's my fact. That
I would say at least, maybe many more.
I'm saying only 5.
I'm saying many more.
So I'm lying then.
Yes, you're a liar.
You're calling me a liar.
You like to open on a lie. You like to keep.
Yeah, no, it is many more. I don't even know how many exactly, but it's many, and movies. He's one of the most sort of referenced missing persons people in that sort of thing. He's everyone knows about him, and Sopranos, The Mentalist, The Simpsons, Bones, the movies was even the movie Titanic. The little comment in the beginning when they're looking for the old lady's necklace, and it's just harder to find than Jimmy Hoffa or something like it.
That's such a strange movie because effectively what it's about is these guys are like, they're looking for this particularly expensive necklace, right?
Yeah, the heart of
and
the
then what they do
ocean
is they give this woman and her whole family like a cruise to the middle of the Atlantic, and to find this thing, and she deceives them the whole time by telling them some like about sex she got on a boat.
She was banging Leo.
Yeah. Like some
I was engaged to some other guy when I was banging Leo.
Yeah, I was having my own Billy Joel Uptown Girl story. Like on a boat. Listen to me talk to you about how good the sex was.
Yeah.
And then she throws the necklace. That's disingenuous, eh? Disingenuous old lady.
Oof.
I'm not sure I like her very much.
Oof. Mind you,
she was Kate Winslet when she was younger. And I can forgive many things for a young Kate Winslet.
So yeah, there was, like, I only mentioned those, but that's been referenced so many times, the Jimmy Hoffa, that it's in the American psyche, it's in the American mass consciousness, and Hoffa's still missing, man. And but the biggest that mafia family and the dude who was involved in the pension scheme, they think it couldn't have been him because he wasn't high enough made man to call a hit, man.
The Bolognese.
Yeah, he wasn't
the
high
Alfredo.
enough up there. Yeah, he'd say he was a made man, but he couldn't push his button on the hit. Yeah,
it's particularly for somebody as big as Jimmy Hoffa, right?
Yeah. But it's like sometimes the oak who's the boss ain't the real boss.
No, sure.
Crazy, man. I'm gonna change things when I get involved.
So all right. Let me change the tack entirely. Go from missing people to people that just won't stay missing even after they're dead. Yeah. Recently, I was in Mikey's Fontaine, right, which is like an hour and a half north of Cape Town. I took my son to go and visit Mikey's Fontaine, and particularly, I took him to go and visit the Lord Milner Hotel in Mikey's Fontaine because it's known as being the most haunted hotel in South Africa. Right,
just on the N1 or on the coast?
yeah. If you just go the N1 up
N1,
the
eh?
yeah, if
Oh.
you go up the N1, you can actually take a steam train from Cape Town to Mikey's Fontaine, where you can have breakfast and do a little bit of a history tour and things. It used to be a Boer War encampment for a long time,
Oh.
so there's graves there and things, which I suppose is kind of partly what leads to all the stories about this particular hotel, you know, and there's all kinds of ghosts. I took my son there, I wandered him around and told him about all the ghosts that are supposed to live in the hotel. I took him during the day because I'm not a psychopath, but apparently you can stay there overnight and do ghost tours and
Oh
stuff.
my.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of ghosts that live there. You know, like you're supposed to be able to see British soldiers leaning on the banister of the stairs on the way upstairs, and then if you get to the second floor landing, what happens is it kind of goes up to halfway up to the second floor, and then there's a landing that goes off to some of the rooms, and then you go up to a second floor, and you get to the second floor, and just in front of you there's stairs up to another floor, which leads to what's called Kate's card room. And Kate used to be a nurse there during the Boer War, who used to administer to the soldiers and play cards with them, and she's apparently a ghost there. You can sometimes apparently hear her shuffling cards. And there's been a couple stories of how people have seen her in her nurse's uniform or white dresses.
Wow.
Yeah. So and then you know, there's a poltergeist called Lucy. You're supposed to hear her in one specific room on the first floor,
Oh my
like
word.
arguing and breaking glasses and stuff. But if you go in the room, nothing's broken. Everything's kind of fine.
I'll positively shit myself.
Yeah, I mean, listen. So there've been people like journalists who've gone and stayed there, and then sort of. I mean, I'm pretty sure the electricity's old and it doesn't work. But the official story from everybody in the hotel is, no, the electricity works perfectly. So all the journalists have these stories of, you know, I turned the lights off and turned the lights on, and then they went off by themselves. And apparently if they go off, you know, there's something in your room. And
Ooh.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's one of those things, because it is a quite old, creepy, beautiful hotel. You know, it's really lovely. It's very atmospheric. And there's a guy there by the name of Johnny, and Johnny will take you around and tell you all of these stories. But I don't want to focus on any of the people I've mentioned so far. What I want to focus on is another ghost, a famous ghost that's there. And I suppose my fact is that one of South Africa's most famous authors, the first to publish a novel in the world that today we identify as being a feminist novel, is now a ghost haunting that Karoo landmark.
Oh, that's tragic and strange. Wow. A feminist novel. South African author.
The very first, it's recognized as being the very first of what was called the New Woman movement.
In the world?
In the world.
And it was a South
in the
African
world,
author.
A South African author, yeah.
Fucking. Who can it be?
So if I tell you who this author is and what they wrote, you'll instantly recognize them. But it's about whether they are a ghost at Mikey's Fontaine.
Yeah, man.
You know, whether they're actually chilling there.
So
this is called What's the Fact, Ryan?
With that, so are you trying to say, we'll find out soon enough, did this lady die at that hotel? Is that why? Obviously, man, you can't be a migratory ghost. You will haunt where you die.
That is such an interesting point. It's such an interesting point that you brought that up. I can't believe you brought up this very salient fact.
All right. Well, I'm going to say.
Because I can tell you. I'm
going to say it's false. I'm going to say she didn't die there. So they got their wires crossed. Maybe she died somewhere else. And now they're saying she's also there. Now, it's just like a meeting place for ghosts now. It's too easy for the ghost hunters to say it's all at that hotel.
Yeah.
So I was saying there might be a ghost of that female author, but it ain't at Lord Nelson. Is it Lord Nelson?
The Lord Milner.
Lord Nelson's in Simonstown. Lord Milner in Mikey's.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Give it to us.
So apparently she is there.
Really?
Yeah. Her name is Olive Schreiner. She wrote a book called A Story of an African Farm. Which, because the main character Lyndall is vehemently anti-marriage, she has a baby outside of marriage, refuses to marry the baby's father, and she's got all kinds of like quotes that are like, you know, as a woman we're chattel kind of quotes, and Yeah, and she's very like. It's considered a very strongly feminist novel. It is still
Wow.
wildly racist, though, which is
Oh,
an interesting point. But it is considered incredibly feminist and forward thinking
okay.
for that from that sort of period of time. And she lived in a house in Fontaine. She wrote Story of an African Farm in a house that's very near the Leeds pub, which is on that same sort of strip as the
wow.
Lord Milner Hotel. And so yeah, she would have to travel. She would have had to have traveled, but one of the things that Johnny can show you is an interesting photograph. If you go to the Mikey's Fontaine, and you go to Lord Milner Hotel, ask Johnny to show you his photograph, and it's his photograph. What happened was many years ago, he took a photo of two young girls, and the two young girls said, Visti Tani.
Whoa.
And, he and the other adults couldn't see anything there. And then the family posted him a copy of the photograph, and you can see a woman standing in the background of the photo. And they say that woman is Olive Schreiner. And the interesting thing is that subsequently, other people have seen that particular woman on the stairs in the pub and in various places around the hotel. So yeah, Olive Schreiner, one of South Africa's most famous and successful authors, apparently, as far as facts go when it comes to unexplained phenomenon.
Yeah. Absolutely.
As far as facts go when it comes to unexplored phenomenon, haunts the Lord Milner Hotel in Mikey's Fontaine. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's incredible. And so is it other side of Paul? Is it other side of Worcester or not as far as Worcester?
No, man, you go all the way out on the N4. You're on your way.
What road are we
on
on now?
Your next
N1.
Yeah, your next stop.
Yes.
After Mikey's Fontaine is Leidenburg. So you out there, man. You're in the.
All right.
Jy's in die Karoo.
Jy's
in die Karoo, yeah.
Wow, there's no place for them to run. There's something about spirits like dry, desolate regions.
Amazing, isn't it? It's definitely a thing when you hear the ghost stories. It's like Bill Hicks. He named his one tour the UFO tour because he was only going to small towns in South America, just like a UFO.
That is so funny.
Yeah, but it does seem to be a ghost thing, doesn't it? Ghosts do like these old hotels. The other hotel that claims it's very haunted is the Nottingham Road Hotel in KwaZulu-Natal. They claim they've got a bunch of ghosts, but I think the Mikey's Fontaine Lord Milner.
Very cool, man.
Sounds like it takes the title.
You mostly have to be over 150 years before you get a ghost.
Yeah, because you don't get a modern ghost.
No.
You never see an oak with a Walkman as a ghost.
It's not like a house in Four Ways Gardens that's been haunted. Ooh,
yeah, some dude wearing FUBU shirt and baggy jeans with a Walkman on. He's like, I died in the 90s here, Chana. Like, I've been here 20 years, man.
And he's playing online gaming with his mates. Pew, pew, pew. No, not that ghost.
No man, I'm a new ghost. I'm a new ghost. My girlfriend murdered me here. I've been here 20 years. But Chana, it's cock. I tell you, like, if you're gonna be a ghost, it must be a four-way though. Must be in some old hotel with all the other oaks. Cock here, I'm by myself.
Man, that is cool. Okay, speaking of Ghost, I have referenced this movie before, The Ghost and the Darkness, but we're talking Unexplained Phenomenon. And that movie, The Ghost and the Darkness, was about the railway line that is being built between Uganda and Mombasa. And there were the man-eating Tsavo lions.
Right.
And I want to talk about, like, why did they chow so many human beings, and that's not very nice at all.
Chow.
Yeah.
It's the most South African word for eat in the whole world.
These guys were chowing. Yes, these guys were chowing them, man.
I think it's my always accent that did that to you.
Oh,
I don't think you would have used the phrase chow. Yeah,
chowing these things. So, the movie was based off the book written by, I think his name's John Patterson, and it was called The Man Killers of Tsavo. That was the name of the book, or his hardly a book. He wrote it down. And then they made the movie out of that. And in the movie, which is so some parts are fact and a few parts are fiction. But in the movie, there's quite a disturbing part where they find the lair of the lions as they sort of hunting them, and they see a whole bunch of skulls and bones.
Do lions really live in lairs? I didn't know.
Well, here's the fact, and okay. And in the movie, there's I suppose it's not to spoil the plot. It's a good movie, but there's quite an eerie turning point in the movie where the Michael Douglas character, who was actually a Scottish hunter, not an American one, but Michael Douglas couldn't do a Scottish accent, but they thought, it's Michael Douglas, leave him, let him talk how he wants. Oh, and he just played an American hunter, in the style of sort of Ernest Hemingway, which appears later in the show. Isn't this so lovely? So they find this lair, it's full of skulls and bones, and the eerie part, Michael Douglas goes, oh my God, these are trophies. They were trophy hunting. They were keeping the skulls as a trophy. The lions, they were hunting for sport.
Okay.
They were hunting for sport.
Okay.
So the oh my God moment is these lions were just having a jewel.
Just killing all this
killing
shit.
humans, not just, you know.
Okay.
And so the fact is that scene about the lair is total fiction.
So, I'll tell you something that's quite interesting. Somebody on Twitter this week asked, does any species on Earth kill for fun? Like a human, like a human. And I happen to know that phenomenon is called surplus killing. Like to kill things, just for the fun of it. And people know for a fact that like their house cat surplus kills.
Oh.
So the house cat doesn't have to kill. It kills just because it can, right?
Right.
Play with it or whatever. And actually, big cats are the same. So lions and leopards will surplus kill.
Really, eh?
Yeah, and like hyenas surplus kill, stoats, honey badgers. I think it's called a bluefish. There's a lot of animals that surplus kill, but leopards, lions do surplus kill. They do kill things just for the fun of it. They are basically,
Really?
I mean, they're essentially just kind of house cats, So the idea that these things might be killing us just for the fun of it, that I might believe. That sort of attitude, I might say, all right, well, listen, if they find that we're fun, easy, we scream a lot, they like it. we're fun to play with like a lizard. I could almost say, yeah, all right. The lair part.
The lair, yeah.
That's the lair part is the bit that perhaps strikes me as odd, because any lion pride I know, they exist in an area, right? And then they tend to. They return to the same trees and bushes because they happen to provide the right amount of cover and the right amount of shade and the right amount of whatever to lie under for a day. But this idea of, the classic sort of 1800s English explorer story about lions in the jungle and how they would return to their cave. There's even a story about the lion and the mouse.
Oh.
Where the lion returns to his cave every afternoon in the cool of the jungle, and then the hunter sets a trap for him at the entrance to his cave, and he gets caught there, and then the mouse comes in. Yes. Yeah, and this idea that lions return to caves is, I don't personally know of any example of lions that return to caves, and I think maybe leopards have been known to live in caves or to at least sleep in them overnight, but lions, and lions that are collecting human skulls. It seems a bit. Listen, I put as many facts into this as I possibly can, and it all seems very unlikely. And if it turns out to be true, I'm going to kill Val Kilmer.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen. I think he might be dead already, to be honest. Yeah, I know he certainly died in Top Gun 2.
Yeah, if Maverick's anything to go by, he's hanging in there. So you're saying it's a lie?
I'm saying it's a lie.
Well, for some weird reason, they did discover the lair. So there is a lair. It was local people discovered the lair, but as late as the 60s, based on the description in Patterson's book. But whether it was for sport or not, I don't know. There were human bones in the lair.
But was it a lair, or was it just like under some trees somewhere? You know what I mean? Like, did they have a cave?
It seemed a little cavey, yeah. It seemed rocks and stuff, and lots of bones.
It's sort of like Pride Rock in The Lion King. I mean, that's really the only time I've ever seen lions in a cave. It's like Scar towards the end of the movie.
Do you know how many people these lions took out?
No, but I'm going to say 800,000.
Well, this is a funny thing, strange stats about all of this stuff. So Patterson gave the number as 135 people that these lions would kill, and they really did terrorize.
135, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, but then now in modern times, I think it's closer to about 38. They don't think it was 138. It was only 30.
I mean, are they guessing the number?
terrifying.
So what you're saying is they've tracked that it is 38, because you wouldn't be like, oh, give or take a few, it's roughly 38. You'd say give or take a few, it's 40.
Yes, but now there's some people saying, well, the British had names of the kind of the Indian workers from India and sort of some of the British people, but not necessarily the local people.
Oh, I see.
So that's
okay.
also unfortunate historical thingamajig, which means the number could actually be around the hundreds. But these lions would come into the camps and they'd terrorize them. They'd just drag them off into the bush, and they'd hear
the thing,
crunching of bones and screaming.
The thing that immediately
crazy.
leaps to mind when I hear these sorts of stories is if I'm staying in a camp and then like my mate next door, he gets dragged away. And then like 6 months ago, some other dude was dragged away. And then like another guy gets dragged away and nobody seems to be able to stop these lions. I might think to myself about not staying there anymore. Yeah. I might I wouldn't wait for there to be 135 so that I could become number 136. You know, like yeah. I think it's very short-sighted of these particular chimps, you know, us British explorers in Africa, to keep our camp in the exact same position and allow ourselves to be dragged away in vast numbers.
It got a mention in the British Parliament because it had slowed the progress of the railway line. Most unfortunate events going on there.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, congratulations, Africa. Rise up again. We need you. You know, if you could take oil workers particularly and any oil sheiks.
Yes,
that would be great.
But the unexplained thing, maybe as to why they were eating humans, people have also just they don't know the full answer. But they think there was rinderpest and there was just less, you know, cattle and deer to eat or antelope. So hey, there's an oak that doesn't run very fast.
Yeah, I mean that is what they say about tigers, particularly. Is they sort of, in fact, it's in the Jungle Book. I think they sort of say Shere Khan is looked down upon by everyone in the jungle because he attacks humans, and he attacks them because he's injured and he's got one sore foot. Yes. And that's kind of the thing about nature, is they say that these animals will take us if they're old and decrepit and on the edge and can no longer chew a buffalo.
Yeah,
you know?
There was a toothache issue in one of the lions.
I mean, what is it about these guys? Why are they leaving us alone? Have we taught them lessons over the years? You know, so here's an interesting story. I met a guy who works for the Table Mountain Natural Reserve.
Oh, cool.
And he was saying that there's ancestral knowledge in the baboons.
Jeez.
From when humans used to prey on them.
Gosh.
And from when we were the apex predator in the region. And it's been passed on through the generations, because what he said was that for most animals, a baboon will run into the trees because they know they're safest. But if they're running away from humans, they will come down from the trees and they will run away because they know that they run faster over land and that we can actually climb up into the trees and get them in the trees. Jeez. So they've got this ancestral knowledge and they behave in exactly the opposite way to us as they do for all other predators. Yeah, quite an interesting thing.
Yeah, man.
You know, which isn't really related to anything, but
I thought it was very unexplained.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, they weren't ghost lions, you know, which would have really made it like extra level scary. I'm actually only saying that as by way of segueing into my next ghostly fact, Ryan.
Yes,
I have another ghostly
stories.
fact, and we're going to stay in Africa though, at least.
Nice.
So again, you know, I've repeatedly said,
listen to this episode in the night time.
The lights off. Yeah, we should have torches. We should be doing it like that. So I've repeatedly said that it's difficult to get facts about unexplained mysteries, but in this case, there actually is. This is a fact. We know for a fact that 99% of the sightings of SA's most famous ghosts since 1984 have been nothing but lies, and we know that's a fact.
Really,
we know without a shadow of a doubt that it is a hard fact that 99% of the sightings since 1984, very specific year, of South Africa's most famous ghost. and I'm gonna call her South Africa's most famous ghost because she's appeared on American TV shows.
Really?
I mean, not the ghost itself. She hasn't been like on Johnny Carson or something.
Oh,
It's been like those unexplained mystery stories.
Please welcome.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa's most famous ghost. Like, no, it's not like a The Ring situation. What I mean is her story has been told on American TV shows before, and so this is why she's South Africa's most famous ghost. But we know for a fact that since 1984, 99% of the reported sightings of this particular ghost are nothing but lies.
Ah, my word.
Yeah.
Goodness me. You mentioned at some point, I think we were talking, you said hitchhiker thing.
That's right.
Is it not the De Deer ghost? Is it not the De Deer ghost? De Deer is this little dorp between Joburg and Vereniging. There's a Carte Blanche even, or Focus, or some show that I think...
Felt Focus. This week, instead of dealing with frogs, lions, small birds, and my prostate, we're going to be talking about the deer ghost. In a wild departure from what we usually do, we're going to talk about the fucking ghost, a spook, if you will. No, I don't think it was Felt Focus.
All right, so...
50, maybe.
Our most famous ghost. And you called her a her.
Mrs. Viljoen van de Deer has sent us this photo. Like it's 50. She wants to know, what are this? This is the Deer ghost. Oh man, this is a joke for people exclusively above the age of 40 who grew up in South Africa.
There was on one of those shows they got there midnight and Thursday, because that's when the accident happened on his bike, and then they got there and then they saw the light come.
Oh really?
And then go. And they got it on footage.
Wow.
So there's no light.
Oh, is he like a motorbike ghost?
And then go. Yeah, and
Like
then
a
when the
motorbike,
light,
yeah.
then they
Of course, Vereniging's got a motorbike ghost, you know.
and when the light was at its most brightest, and they freezed it, and they could that be an outline of a guy on a bike?
Could it? I mean, of course, Vereniging's got a motorbike ghost.
So I don't even know our most famous ghost.
Okay, all right, I'll tell you.
Why
I'll tell
you're
you.
so confident that it's a lie.
All right, no,
How
I'll
can
tell
say
you.
it's all...
No.
I'm gonna say no. It's not possible. It's
No,
it's
I'll
false.
tell you. I'll give you. Let me give you some more facts.
Fine.
So let me give you some more facts. It's the Uniondale hitchhiking ghost. Just outside of Uniondale, there's a ghost that of a woman by the name of Maria Rue, who reportedly died in her sleep on an Easter Sunday after her fiance crashed. I think it was Easter Sunday or Good Friday. Maybe it was Good Friday. After her fiance crashed their car while she was asleep. And now people report that when they're driving down that road alone, they will see a woman hitchhiking on the side. They'll stop. They'll pick her up. She'll sit. She'll talk to them. She'll ask to go to a very specific address. It's like 2 Potter Avenue. And they'll talk to her for like 10, 15 minutes, and then she'll go quiet, and they'll look, and she's gone.
Wow.
And that's the and then
I'll shit
some of
myself.
them say that she leaves behind the scent of apple blossoms after she's gone. Yeah. So that's the story of this particular ghost. And I mean, the story that was covered by the American channel was quite a spooky one, because it's a guy who claimed he saw her. She was in his car. She vanished. He gets to the police station to report it. The policeman comes out and has a similar kind of experience with him again. So it's actually got 2 witnesses, 2 separate, one of them being a police constable. So these are the kind of the early sightings.
And Uniondale is where again?
It's in the Western Cape. It's also in the Karoo.
Is it?
Yeah, it's in the Karoo. I think it's on the N9 if I'm correct, but yeah.
Wow, man.
But yeah, so that's the
I don't-
story.
yeah.
That's the story. And what I'm saying is, we know that 99% of the sightings since 1984, we know for a fact they're lies.
Maybe no. I think there's no ways they can know for a fact it's a lie, unless there's like, no, she was wearing Adidas, and they didn't make those shoes until 1993. No, there's no ways they could know it's all a lie. Look, they could guess that they're all talking cuck, but how could they know for a fact?
Yeah,
that,
this is it's very
no, I'll
important.
say
This is
that
what I'm saying.
fact is not true. It's false because
Alright.
of that last bit.
So she was Ria.
Ria.
That was her name. She was in a car with her fiance Giel. They were to get married, and they were in a Volkswagen Beetle driving down the road. And
Is this true though?
so this is the story. This is the
Okay.
story. No, I mean this much
This
is
part
true.
is-
So
this much is
there is
true.
in fact photos of her. There's a grave site. There's this. Her death was reported in local
Oh
newspapers.
my.
This is
84,
100% true.
hey?
No. 1968.
Oh,
Yeah,
60s. Okay.
Yeah,
You're
I-
saying since 84.
Yeah, I'm saying since 84. Yeah.
Okay.
So then there was this accident. She was flung from the car and died, and he, in a disorientated state, was picked up by paramedics who took him to the hospital, and he was healed there. And then the stories kind of start that guys start telling stories that they're picking up this ghostly hitchhiker, and the story is that obviously she doesn't know she's dead. There's two theories. One,
Oh
she doesn't
my.
know she's dead, and she's trying to get back to her home or back to her fiance to try and be with him. Or two, that she knows that he remarried a year later.
Oh.
That he married a woman just a year later, and she's angry, and that's what's made her ghost restless, right? Yeah. So an interesting thing happens in 1984. 1984, most of the stories change, and all the stories start saying that, in fact, they start saying, and I'll read it to you here. So how do we know that the stories from 1984 are lies? It seems from that year, a crucial fact changes, right? Suddenly, from being a historically accurate brunette, the stories about Ria's ghost become a blonde.
Oh.
And that we start picking up a blonde woman from 1984 from that moment on. So it's one of those things that...
I see.
Yeah, so it's one of those facts we know that it can't possibly be her, right?
The story was passed on.
Yeah,
people
it's been
picked it
passed
up
on. People have picked it up, and from
embellished it.
1984, 99% of the stories tell a story of a blonde woman. And in fact, if you go to Wikipedia now, Jeanette Mayer, a local cafe owner in Uniondale, actually says there have been several reports in recent years of motorcyclists picking up a blonde woman hitchhiker near Uniondale, only to find out that she's vanished from their backseat in a few years' time. And they spoke to her brother, Franz Roux, and he's very pissed off about the whole thing. They spoke to him in 2006, and he was 24. And he was saying, the whole thing is a joke. She would laugh at this. She would never believe that ghosts exist. She's dead is dead, and this thing let her rest, etc., etc. But the interesting thing, the creepy thing about this particular fact, that we now know that there's so many lies from any view after 1984, the creepy fact is that in 1984, Heel himself died in a car accident, leading those who are ghost hunters in the know to say, in fact, she will have vanished at that point because now she was reunited with him. And that's why suddenly in that year, there's this change as people start making up the stories, whereas before
It was the
it
real
was actually
deal.
happening. Yeah,
Ooh.
that's the but yeah. So interestingly, we do know that those particular stories are lies, and the Karoo Arts Festival uses that particular ghost as a selling point. And
Oh.
I think it's Gert van Rooyen, beautiful. But there's Afrikaans musicians who sing songs about the Uniondale ghost, and there was a movie about the Uniondale ghost, and yeah, so she's one of the most famous. But you can probably safely drive down that road now because our sightings since 1984, which is what, nearly 40 years ago, have all been made up.
I say maybe the ghost. It was the 80s. Maybe she liked Cyndi Lauper. Maybe she tried to turn
Cyndi,
to
she's
a
got like a mullet.
peroxide. Yeah.
Like shoulder pads.
Dyed her hair. Yeah. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blah, blah. Oh dear.
Yeah, but so that's how we know. That's how we know that it's a lie. I mean, if you are inclined to believe in ghosts, which, as I say, factually, this is a very suspicious podcast. To be perfectly honest, we should be calling it "What the Fuck."
Well, I'm going to, because I'm shitting myself now, but I'm going to change the things to a lovely little fact about birds that fly far, far away. Migrating
your
birds.
girlfriends, eh?
Yeah, chicks just leave me. Yes, Uniondale chicks. They all just. See, we should go do a gig in Uniondale to that pub of 8 regulars. So, migrating birds, especially the ones who return to the same nest, it's all rather unexplained. Well, scientists might think they know, but it's really quite a whole bunch of things that we don't can't put our finger on quite.
Yeah,
It
there's
is
some belief that
amazing.
it's there's
It is
some belief that
amazing.
it's magnets and whatever, but they've done things to confuse pigeons. I know
Really?
that to actually confuse them with the magnetism and still they find
Yes.
their way back.
Jeez. So my little nice fact is there's a thing called the bar-tailed godwit. And it flies from Alaska to Hawaii, making it the longest non-stop migratory
From Alaska
flight.
to Hawaii.
Yeah.
No man, piss off. That's close to each other.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. There was a juvenile bird this year that flew something ridiculous, like 11,000 miles from Europe to
No, non-stop.
oh
Non-stop.
non-stop.
Yeah.
Non-stop. You're saying that doesn't sleep overnight.
No.
It just
No shell garage, nothing.
no dodgy
no
late night
pies.
pie.
No pies. No wimpy.
Okay. I mean, all right,
It's
fine.
called the bar-tailed godwit.
Fine.
Alaska to Hawaii. It's
drove
approximately 5,500
I once drove to Peter
kilometers.
Maritzburg with my brother non-stop. My brother would have stopped 4 times because he just wanted a cigarette. He was getting so angry the whole way down.
You got to stop at Harry Smith, though.
No, I
eh?
don't think he'll ever catch a trip with me ever again. All he wanted was to smoke, and I was just no, we're driving.
Let him smoke in your car.
No, the thing is, if you're the driver, you get to set all the rules.
Yeah.
This is the deal.
We can
Like,
wind
you
the
get to play
window down a
you get
bit.
to play the music you want to play. No, I said to him.
So he was
I said,
listening
you can
to
wind
your
down the
music
window,
without a
and you-
cigarette.
I said yes. I said you can wind down the window and you can lean out. I said you can do that. But he was no. It's undignified, he said. Like, and if you know my brother, dignity's not a big deal with him. I don't know why suddenly he was being so picky. Anyway.
So yeah, non-stop, hey? Non-stop flights, the bar-tailed godwit, making it the longest migratory bird flight.
I think anything that flies to
non-stop.
Australia
Five
has
and a
to be
half-
longer than that.
5.5
Anything that flies
Ks.
to Australia has to be longer than that.
Alaska to Hawaii.
Anything that flies to Australia has to be further than that. Because it's across like the whole Indian Ocean.
Yeah, but it depends where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Pacific's the biggest ocean, eh? Isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's correct. It's a good fact for those of you following the show. I'm going to say it's a lie, Ryan. I'm going to say it's like number 5 or something.
Well, you're right in that I was lying, but no, this one goes from Alaska. Quite right, Alaska to New Zealand,
Okay.
non-stop, 11,000
Yeah.
k's, 8,000 something miles, and it's the bar-tailed godwit, Alaska to New Zealand. And then I was reading about what happens before the flight, like they go to a sort of part of the
I always
Alaskan
feel like I want to
Peninsula.
stop you just for my stupid joke. Everybody wants to immigrate to New Zealand. Sorry, carry on. I didn't want to miss my opportunity.
No, this what is extraordinary is it'll go to the Alaskan Peninsula before, and for a few months gorge on lovely mussels and stuff, whatever, and get nice and fat. And but what happens with the fat is it doesn't form big clumps of fat. It sort of makes little slivers of fat in between the mussels.
It must be delicious at that point. It must be so tasty.
And what's clever about it is it doesn't have by the fat having these fatty flaps rather, it doesn't
Like your mom.
it doesn't add the
I regret saying that so much. Sorry, Mrs. Whittle. Yes, I can tell people turned us off at that point.
Yes, yeah.
Like your mom.
It's like your mom's got fatty flaps.
Your mom turned us off. What?
Talking about
I'm so
mothers
sorry.
in general, mom. Not,
But that's lovely marbling. That's marbling, right?
yeah.
That's what you wanted to meet.
yeah. So, but in so doing, it doesn't add to the mass of the bird. Doesn't make it so heavy to fly. It's got this aerodynamic thing, and just before it flies, its internal organs will then kind of have this shrinking vibe, making it even more aerodynamic and getting it ready for the long haul. And yeah, because the fat's what it lives off when it's flying 11,000 Ks.
How long
And
does
it
it
does
take to
that.
do this?
Man, was it weeks or months?
I assume it
think it's
burns all of
weeks.
its fat
Was it days?
over the course of that
Was
trip.
it days, weeks, or months? It must have been weeks. 4 to 5 weeks.
No, it can't fly for for 28 days without stopping.
Yeah, it can.
No, that's ridiculous, Ryan.
I'm sure it can. It can't. I don't think they fly faster than 70 k's an hour.
Well, I suppose 11,000. Yeah, I suppose 11,000 kilometers.
Yeah, no, I think it's 45 weeks. No, they can. They're just
Okay.
hoy.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and look, if some of them fly in the V formation is helping the aerodynamic.
But
factor.
they lose all of their fat. There should be a diet where you fly from Alaska to New Zealand.
Yeah, but they're fatten up nicely.
I could use that flight. I got to be honest. 4 to 5 weeks, and you lose everything.
Yeah,
You ripped.
Yeah.
By the end it lands, it's like it's
amazing.
ready to fuck.
Yeah, it's
I
a
shouldn't use that language, I'm
bar-tailed
disgusting.
godwit. Is what?
I shouldn't use that language. I'm disgusting. Bar-tailed godwit.
Bar-tailed godwit, an
Yeah.
Alaskan thing. 11,000 k's, eh?
Yeah, that's amazing.
But why not just
To
go
the middle
to
of the ocean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not just go to San Fran? You know, you're
Right,
Alaska,
it's
go to
warm
San
there.
Fran, go to San Diego.
Maybe it just
New
eats a specific
Zealand?
kind of muscle that only exists in New Zealand.
Such a snob.
But how did it start doing that trip in the first place? Like, it doesn't have TripAdvisor. How did it hear about New Zealand? Just like,
Exactly.
let's go to New Zealand this year. Where is it? Oh, it's in the middle of the ocean. If we miss it, we die like Malaysian Airlines.
Shame. But do you know about the magnet story? Because magnetism is part of it. They also think looking at the sun, looking at the stars, birds looking at the stars, and looking at things on the ground. But one of the magnetism theory is they found that bacteria from a kind of, magnetic vibe is in like their nasal cavities and shit. It's mad. But yeah, so they know it'll probably, the answer to how do these birds migrate to a place knowing exactly where it is, sometimes return to the exact nest on the other
Yeah.
side of the world. They think it'll have something to do with amazing navigation, but also this weird magnetic vibe.
Bacteria.
Crazy.
That is incredible. That is incredible.
Lovely.
Yeah. I've got no segue for this next fact, Ryan. I've got nothing to actually like.
Link
Where
it.
do you go once you've got birds in New Zealand?
Wow.
How do you get?
Beautiful.
All right, you tell me. How do you get from birds in New Zealand
To a ghost.
to Barney Bonato in South Africa?
Well, he migrated from England.
From England.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then
Ryan.
he was trying to migrate back. Or
Yeah.
visiting family.
That is exactly no.
I
You're
love
right. That's
this.
exactly what he was.
I watched the TV show. I didn't read
It was a
about
very
it.
good TV show.
Loved
It was
it.
a very good
Very
TV show.
proudly South African TV show. Well, not
Yeah.
really, because bad old days, but
Yeah. Well,
Good
so what it's
production.
about, right? Barney Bonato was a Jewish immigrant from
Yes.
England who arrived in South Africa absolutely penniless because he and his brother had heard that there were diamonds in Kimberley. And when they arrived in Kimberley, they were entertainers. So they used to do some entertaining, some bouncing. And then they used to buy and sell diamonds. But Barney Bonato was quite a smart guy, and he quickly realized that the way to make actual cash was to buy as many of the claims as possible. So they started investing in buying claims, and they bought as many claims as they possibly could, which, as you may know, was the exact same tactic as Cecil John Rhodes.
yes.
So the two of them were competitors, Cecil John Rhodes and Barney Bonato's mining company. And then eventually they both owned huge swathes of the Kimberley diamond fields, and they combined them together. Barney Bonato eventually agreed to liquidate his company and sell all its assets to Cecil John Rhodes, who then very famously founded De Beers, with the kind of results. And the money he made was absolutely staggering. It was, his mining company was considered one of the biggest in the world, and he went up to Johannesburg at that stage, which he was now arriving at in Johannesburg late, and he basically did the same thing. He spent a lot of money buying all the gold claims, made an absolute fortune on gold, and then he was on the boat back to England, I believe, for Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee.
Jeez.
And the story goes that suddenly he decided to jump overboard. And this is in fact the official story. There was a hearing after he jumped overboard. And my fact is that that the richest guy in South Africa at that time committed suicide.
Jeez, it's crazy, eh? Oh, yeah. I think even when I watched that TV show, even as a young boy, I think you get just the shifty eyes of it all, you get the feeling that there was a conspiracy to commit murder. Even Mr. Cecil John Rhodes, was involved in a conspiracy to commit murder.
Well, listen, if you're writing a TV show, of course, you're gonna try and make it seem that way, aren't you? I mean, that's
that
more
he
dramatic.
Did commit suicide.
Yeah, I'm saying the fact is that he committed suicide.
No, I say no. They don't know.
Well, I mean, they do know.
Can say for sure. Well, how are you gonna get out of this corner, Mr. Robertson? I'll say they don't know for sure that it was suicide.
All right, so officially, they know.
Okay.
Officially, they know. They had a hearing.
Right.
They had a hearing. There were 2 witnesses who watched him jump overboard. 2 witnesses. And they had a hearing. They interviewed both of them.
Was his body recovered and all that?
Yeah, they recovered the body. He was dead and floating on the surface of the water.
Huh.
And they went down and they retrieved his body, got it back up. There was no autopsy ever done, but the 2 witnesses both told the exact same story about his death.
Okay.
But this is the Unexplained Mysteries podcast, right?
Sure it is.
It's not the Explained Mysteries podcast.
We're not interested in explained mysteries.
No, we care nothing for explained mysteries. In fact, it seems we care nothing for facts at all in this particular podcast. But so his relative, Solly Joel, was one of the witnesses, and he was the first to testify. He gave this following statement. And I'm going to imagine he was...
His relative?
Yeah, I'm gonna imagine he was British, right? But I can't really
but
do.
He's a Jewish British. No, he's a Jewish boy. He must make a Joburg Jew.
Joburg Jew, but
yeah.
No. All right. I was a passenger on board the Scott, and the deceased was a fellow passenger. I was walking on deck with him on Monday last at 3:09 in the afternoon. I was getting tired, so I asked him to sit down. He said, no, let us walk. We, however, sat down, and he asked me, what is the time? I looked at my watch, and I told him. Then I saw him dash by. I had not time, in fact, to close my watch or even to lift my eyes when he gave a spring. I threw out my hands to catch him, but I only caught the back of his trousers, and he jumped over the side into the sea. I screamed, murder! And I saw the 4th officer who was sitting dozing. And I said, for God's sake, save him.
Oh, for God's sakes, man.
Yeah, come on, for God's sakes. All right, then. In answer to further questions, Solly said, at times, he wasn't in his right mind, 1 hour he appeared to be quite well, and the next, like his mind would wander. On the fatal day, I noticed his behavior, and I made up my mind not to leave him, and I did not. I think he'd never shown signs of suicidal mania before. Right. So now the other witness is William Tarrant Clifford, the 4th officer, who you may recall, who was sitting dozing. And yes. I said, for God's sake, save him.
For God's sakes, murder.
Yeah, murder. Yeah. So then this other witness is William Tarrant Clifford, the 4th officer on board this English boat. And he said, I had seen and spoken to Mr. Bernardo once or twice on the journey and noticed nothing peculiar, either in his appearance or his actions. On the 14th, when in latitude 31.8 north and 17.13 west, I saw him leap overboard. Mr. Joel said something I don't remember, and I think I said, I'll go. And with that, I pulled off my coat and jumped in after him. I did not reach the body, though I saw it some way off. I was subsequently picked up by the ship's boat. In answer to further question, he told the jury that the body, which was floating face down, was also hauled into the boat and taken back to the ship.
Shit, man.
The jury, after a short retirement, returned a verdict that the deceased had jumped overboard and met his death by drowning while temporarily insane. So it's not an unexplained mystery.
Wow.
But allow me to present the following.
Poison.
There are several unanswered and, in fact, unasked questions that arise. You can no doubt come up with your own if you want to jump in the comment section. See where the holes in this story begin. But here we go. There was no post-mortem, so how did they establish without doubt that he drowned? Right? Why was the body floating after allegedly drowning? Most bodies after drowning sink because the lungs are full of water. Floating indicates the lungs are full of air. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's why did Solly shout murder rather than say help?
Yeah.
Was it Barney who shouted murder? Maybe. Solly said that the fourth officer, Clifford, was dozing, and if so, how did Clifford see Barney leap rather than just see Solly catch the back of Barney's trousers after the shout had awoken him? There's a few more. Yeah. Fanny, who is his wife, Barney Bonato's wife, didn't attend the inquest. She wasn't invited. But she subsequently denied that Barney was not in his right mind at any time on the voyage. After the inquest, the fourth officer, William Tarrant Clifford, was rewarded by the Joels with a payment of £1,000 and was promised that they would use all their great influence to further his advancement.
Jeez, like.
Today, that the equivalent of £1,000 in 1897 is £400,000 now.
Wow.
That's a lot of money to pay a dude, right?
£400,000
to just kind of
$4
be
million.
to be a witness at your particular hearing, right? Now, in her biography, Spreading My Wings, Barney's granddaughter, Diana Bonato Walker, she's an MBE because she was the first woman aviator to break the sound barrier, by the way.
Jeez,
Anyway, that's a total aside. She said the fourth officer, Clifford, the only witness apart from Solly who gave evidence at the inquest, was a good friend of Solly's and went shooting with him on his English estate regularly before and after the accident. Solly's son, Stanhope Joel, told her that Solly had pushed Barney and gave him the old heave-ho overboard.
Jeez.
Yeah, she says, Diana says that Solly may have biffed Barney before pushing him overboard. Biffing being
The
old Eton, kind of slang for punching him. Note, if Barney was knocked unconscious, this would explain why his body was floating, because he wouldn't have breathed in as much of the water. Solly was determined to get control of South African companies. It was said that Solly masterminded a phony indictment of illicit diamond buying against his brother Jack. She said in her book, my uncle Jack didn't wait for the case to come up, but hopped it back to England, where he ran the English side of the business well out of Solly's hair. After Jack's return to England, the only people left to thwart Solly were my grandfather Barney and his nephew Wolf Joel, Solly's brother. The year after Barney's death in 1898, Wolf suddenly became the victim of a blackmailer called Von Veltheim, who shot Wolf dead when he refused to pay up, but only got a 2-year prison sentence for his crime. Solly's son Stanhope suggested that Solly probably paid for Von Veltheim's defense. In 1908, Von Veltheim also tried to blackmail Solly.
Solly.
So this whole story...
And Solly was Barney's cousin.
Yeah. This whole story seems to point to,
Solly.
an unexplained mystery, quite honestly.
Absolutely.
The richest man in South Africa heave-hoed over the side of a boat, possibly killed. Is it a fact? It's definitely not a fact, but it is interesting.
And Cecil was on the same boat, according to the TV show.
I mean, he may have been, because he almost certainly would have been invited back for a diamond jubilee, and I'm sure the ships weren't one every half an hour. I'm pretty sure it was less regular than that. So it's possible he could have been on the boat. I don't know the factuality of that, but it is interesting that that this one particular family member would have had so much say. Yeah,
that's a great fact, man. Great fact. Before we hit multiple choice, one more for you. Now, religious people like to think this one is still open for discussion. The Shroud of Turin.
This one is not open for discussion. Ryan.
Well, there's a couple of things. Which one am I going to go with? Yeah,
Ryan, we were so close to you not making me irate at some point during this one.
The Shroud of Turin is made from cloth, whose fabric is apparently more consistent with that of first century Israel than medieval Europe.
According to whom?
I'll give that as my fact.
No, you don't have to add anything else. I have to get it from this shit.
Well, there's another one, the one about the pollen grains. Pollen grains. It's got hundreds of pollen grains, and 40 of them are from Israel, flowers in Israel, and 20 of them from flowers in actual Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm. Out of how many? Hundreds?
It says hundreds, yeah.
Look, it's distinctly possible that they used a bit of cloth, an old bit of cloth that they found, to create this fraud, this giant fraud to mislead the gullible further in the grift. It's possible. It's definitely possible.
It's unexplained. I gotta tell
It's
you,
not.
folks.
It's not unexplained. They've done tests on the thing, and it's been definitively proven to be from Middle Ages. Like definitively. Like this is the thing that the middle-aged fraudster, I'm making it sound like some 40-year-old dude who's selling fake, like, like
Oh, look at this
fake
one.
baseball
It's,
cards. Yeah.
Shut up, Solly. Go and buy a diamond in South Africa. No, this is the one. I've got a nice cloth here from
What is it?
Jerusalem.
Yeah,
From
that's
Christ
right.
himself, they say. Look at the face.
You don't buy a cloth for full price. Never. You never buy a rug, cloth, or a mattress at full price. It's always 50% off somewhere. Anyway, my point is, it's all bullshit, Ryan. It's all bullshit.
Okay.
If Jesus was involved, he would not fake this. He would not fake this to deceive us. I know he put the dinosaurs there to deceive us.
Thank you.
He's a bit of a prankster. Oh,
There you
Jesus. Jesus, the Holy Ghost. He's a bit of a prankster. He likes to fool us a little bit. Fine, I get it. It's your world. Do what you want.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would have fooled us with a Turin shroud.
Well, I don't, ChristianPost.com says that the cloth is consistent with first century.
No, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
ChristianPost.com, you say? Reliable. Definitely. Fact. It's like, hey, Trump.com says Donald Trump's the president. Well, I guess it must be true.
And some of them pollen grains, man. Find them in Jerusalem even. Flowers, the pollen from those flowers, you could find those flowers in Jerusalem. So there's the
Well,
pollen.
you see, you
and the
yourself have worded that quite specifically that way because you might also find them somewhere else. It's like saying, oh, bananas, we find them in KwaZulu-Natal, therefore all bananas must come from KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing.
Yeah. So
Just
those
not
are
a
my
thing,
facts, according to ChristianPost.com.
Yeah,
was,
ChristianPost.com
the
is
pollen
not.
and
Can we not recognize them as not being? It's an incredible thing, but we only teach critical thinking to university students in this country. It's a very sad fact. It's a very sad fact because we
But I
should
don't
be
know if
taught.
high school kids
We
are
should
ready
be.
for it.
No, they are. We should be taught at school to be suspicious of everything we read, and the fact that ChristianFact.com or whatever it is.
Oh yes, Christian Post. No, it was just I think it's just a good old Christian newsy website.
Filled with the general lies.
Sure. Yeah,
Filled with the lies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is in fact an explained fact. They have in fact dated that thing and
Yes.
proven it conclusively.
To about the 1300s.
Yeah, proved conclusively that it is a fraud.
Plus, when it popped up in the era of relics, they didn't know where it came from. They knew who it came from, and he presented it to a French king and all that, and then the Pope got involved, and it's great. But they didn't know where he got it from or where it had been before the previous 1300s.
Yeah. You see, I mean, that's one of the big things these days, isn't it? It's what do they call it? There's actually a word for it. Is where you get a thing, and can you trace where the thing comes from?
Yeah.
Do you have the original receipt? Do you have the actual stuff? Can you show the? Oh man, I wish I could remember the word, but I can't.
Oh wow,
Yeah, there's an actual word.
that's very cool.
Help me out. Please put it in the comments, somebody.
The
I
word
beg of
for
you.
where something came from.
Yeah. The
Mother.
No, man, that's a damn it. No, I'm doing no, man. I'm
mother-
doing Solly's voice. No, man.
The mother source.
Yeah.
The source ship.
Anyway,
Source
as you
mystery.
say, it has been definitively proven. It is not an unexplained mystery. It is an explained mystery. Here, let me jump to my multiple choice question. This is an unexplained mystery. Who is responsible for the latest Springboks loss? Is it A, the team selection, B, the tactics, C, not enough preparation, or D, the referee? That's right. It's the bloody referee. It's never anything else. Don't believe me? Check rugby Twitter. They will tell you. That's not my real question. That's just
That's
it's just
spot
an
on.
unexplained
Absolutely.
mystery that I thought of, Anyway, my real question
Absolutely.
is on the evening of June the 14th,
Yes.
1497,
Gee whiz.
the youngest son of Pope Alexander VI, Juan Borgia,
Oh.
was seen leaving a dinner party at his mother's home in the countryside near Rome.
Okay.
Right? His body was found days later dumped in the Tiber River and covered in stab wounds.
Oh my word.
His father, the Pope, bear in mind, began an investigation into the killing, but quickly cancelled it, and no killer was ever brought to justice.
Wow.
So it is an unexplained mystery who his killer was.
Okay.
Which of these is not a suspect in his death? Is it A, Juan's older brother, Cardinal Cesare Borgias? The two had a long kind of history. People suspected it might have been him, maybe. Was he ever put up as an official witness? An official accused? 2, the other brother, Joffrey. 3, the Orsini family, who were another quite powerful family in the area. 4, Giuliana della Rovere, who was a cardinal at the time.
Wow. So you got another family, and you got
And got his two brothers,
and a
Cardinal Cesare, his two brothers, Cardinal Cesare Borgias. Yeah, one of the brothers is a cardinal, so Cardinal Cesare Borgias. The other brother, Joffrey. The Orsini family, who's a rival family in the area.
Piss people off, this oak.
And for Giuliano della Rovere, who was a cardinal at the time.
Wow. I think the cardinals is guilty as sin.
Which one? I mean, there's two of them here that are on this list. So which of them is not? Which of them was not a suspect at the time? This is what I'm looking for.
Maybe just that family. So the two brothers are, and the cardinal.
Oh, the Orsini family you're saying is not?
No. That's what I think. Motive? I think the others are just too close to the Pope. Too close to power, man. Take him out. Maybe it was a favorite like Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
He in fact, he was his father's favorite son.
See?
He was his father's favorite son. So does that help you with your decision making?
Yes, it does. Just the brothers and the cardinal that took him out. Not the family.
So Juan's older brother, Cardinal Cesare Borgias, was a suspect because the two had a long, kind of fierce hatred of each other. Even Queen Isabella of Spain at the time thought Cesare had done it.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, she made it known that she thought it was him. The other brother, Joffrey, was
from
also...
Spain. She knew. She just knew.
Well, they're heavily involved with the
big time,
Pope and the royal family. The other brother, Joffrey, he was also a suspect because it was well known that Juan had been having an affair with Joffrey's wife, Sancia of Aragon. Wow. So many theorized that Joffrey had his brother killed out of jealousy.
Right. Aragon's in Spain. A Spanish wife, eh? Italian.
Nice. The Orsini family is in fact regarded as the most likely culprit.
Really?
Yeah, because the war had reached a point where when France invaded north of Italy some years before, the Orsinis had sided with the French because they wanted to overthrow the Borgias. Oh. So there was this whole nasty side effect. And in fact, people are saying that had the Pope discovered it was them, he would have hushed it up because accusing them out in the open would have only damaged him. He couldn't have proven it. So he had to get back to them in underhanded ways. And, the Italian vendetta and the whole thing. So they actually think Orsini family is the most likely. Giuliano della Rovere was a cardinal who did do kind of some suspicious maneuverings and ultimately became Pope Julius II.
Wow.
So he was the only one not accused out of those four. Yeah.
Was he the next Pope?
He may have been in fact, the next Pope. He used to do a lot of the bidding of Pope Alexander. He used
back
to
then they could still marry and stuff and have...
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people they view the Borgias as like a crime family, and in fact, the TV show about them views them like a crime family. But they weren't really. They were more like a very powerful, wealthy family even today. Using money and influence to get themselves and their family positions. And Juan, who was murdered, he had been assigned as the general of the army to go and punish the Orsini after they'd sided with the French and the Italians had thrown the French out. And he was told to go and seize their lands, and he took armies there and he'd failed to seize them, and he'd come back to Rome a big failure. But his father still loved him, which is why a lot of people thought Cesare would be so angry, because Cesare had wanted to be the soldier. He was a better soldier, but his dad had forced him to go into the church to try and raise himself up. So a lot of people thought that perhaps Cesare would have been like, oh, fuck, you fucked that up. You messed this up for us. Like, what a mess. But yeah, we to this day, we don't know who really killed him. Wow. We do know, I mean, a witness account at the time said, the way they discovered his body.
It's pretty brutal, hey?
Yeah, the way they discovered his body, right, was the story that there was a guy who'd been looking after a shipment. He was like a security guard looking after a shipment at the docks on the side of the Tiber. And he said he'd actually seen a guy on a white horse with a body draped over, dried up with 4 attendants, and they'd taken the body and thrown it into the river, and then they'd stoned the body with big rocks to make it sink.
Jeez.
And then he was asked, why didn't you report this in the first place? And he was like, because I see people thrown into the river all the time. And nobody's ever given a shit about them before. So, why would this be different?
I must do it. He comes every day.
Every fucking day, somebody's coming and filling the Tiber with a body. Anyway, so it's one of those big historical things, and we to this day don't know. Who killed one.
Well, I want to close on a bit of a Debbie Downer. I love Ernest Hemingway's work. He's well known in literature for his use of the word "and." So his sentences never really end. And they have this beautiful rhythm, and he'll describe something, but it's in quite a melancholy way. And I went to and this, and that.
We were told in grade one, my teacher said to me, "Don't use and then." Like, and then I went to the park, and then I went to the shops, and then I went to the. She was like, that is so frowned upon. And you're telling me Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway. And then I shot a line, and then I drank a pint of whiskey, and then
I went and shagged a tourist, and then I went to... Yeah.
Nice.
But I love his rhythm, and I love his writing, and he's got a beautiful quality. But his family's got a sad
he was a definite madman, though. He was a crazy person.
And that's what my fact's about, is we know how he finished off on the planet.
Right. So the Kurt Cobain style.
Yeah. And of course his family's got a terrible curse about them. The granddaughter seems to think the family's cursed. But which of these was not lost to suicide? Just like Ernest. Was it his mother, his father, his brother, or his sister?
Hectic.
So one of them wasn't lost to suicide.
His mother, his father, his brother, or his sister?
Yeah.
I'm going to say sister. Because, men are vastly more likely to commit suicide just by the statistics, right? So I don't know for sure. So I'm going by statistics. Men are something like 5 times more likely to commit suicide than, maybe even more.
You see, ladies, how hard it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about why men are more likely to commit suicide, and a lot of it's about to do with the toxic male kind of culture, in that we can't talk about our emotions. It's viewed as weak, and so therefore we kind of eat them up, and then we end up killing ourselves. So so men are vastly more likely and I'm sure then it was perhaps even worse. So I'm going to say those two, and then I think the thing is you commit suicide much more likely if the people who are your role models commit suicide. So I'm going to say his mom and his dad did it, and therefore he did it, and probably his brother jumped in as well, feet first, being a man. So it's his sister who didn't. That's my reasoning. I'm probably wrong.
You're close but wrong. It was his mom who did it. Yeah, okay. Dad also with a gun, and then I think sister with a overdose. I forget how the brother did it. It's all rather sad. And even as far down as granddaughter. Granddaughter was one of the first supermodels. Also overdose.
Haven't we discussed this before?
No, not yet. Ernest Hemingway and his accursed family.
Suicidal granddaughter. I think we have discussed.
Really?
Before,
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
And she was a supermodel. Yeah, very sad. But I love the man's work, and I haven't read all of it.
I think there's going to come an era where finally, at some point, we're gonna introduce euthanasia, which will essentially mean that we all go out on the terms that we want to go out.
Yeah.
Suicide is sad when it's a young person who's trapped in kind of depression, and they could be healed by being given medicine or helped out of their scenario. Is it so sad when it's an old person who's perhaps ailing and in pain?
Yeah, the pain.
I think the thing is, when you get offered the opportunity for euthanasia, then perhaps once our country legalizes it and it becomes a normal thing, perhaps that's the way we'll all ultimately go out.
Yeah, look like I think pain is horrible to live with, and if it's terminal, that must be pretty horrible. But I think if they made it an option, I think we'd all be surprised.
I think the way
how
I'll
few
commit
people
suicide.
would.
I think the way I'll commit suicide is by listening to the new Taylor Swift album.
Yes.
That would kill me. That would kill me pretty quickly and almost immediately.
Yes, I've heard it's not good, but I haven't heard it. Just heard it's not good.
Yeah, but it's not for you, Ryan. It's not for us 43-year-old middle-aged men. It's for 25-year-old girls who have self-esteem issues. That's what it's
that's
for.
That's why I liked it when I was 25-year-old. No, I loved her. You know her country album before she went super famous.
No, that's
But then-
Shania Twain.
No, even Taylor.
Oh, is
She
it
had a
Taylor?
Nashville, season, and then some of her pop songs after that were quite good. But then they started. I think if you're that huge and you write a shit song, you should do 6 months. Because you can't come here with your wealthy money.
No, other
your
people are writing for
private-
you.
Yeah, but
you
you
can't.
do
yeah.
6 months.
No,
That's
fair
so
enough.
shit, Taylor. That song was cuck.
Why did we have to listen to the latest Justin Bieber for 6 months? However long you chart with that shit song, that's how
Yeah.
long you have to do. There you
If
go.
you do a good one, you can get out on good behavior. Because I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not such.
You're not a vengeful
snob
god.
No, I'm not such a snob that if you write a nice hit, and I'll say when it's a good hit.
Yeah.
I will. I promise.
Yeah. I think
And you
the
can
thing is,
get
as
out
long as
early.
it charts in the top 10 and it's shit,
Yeah.
that's how long you have
Do
to
it
do in jail.
6
That's how
months.
long you have to do in jail.
Yeah.
No, if it charts for, if it charts for 3 years, then you do 3 years. what you have inflicted onto us,
Yeah.
eye for an eye,
Yeah.
motherfucker. That is what we're
The
taking.
morning radio stations on the drive time, they force us to listen to it.
That's right.
It's wrong.
Well, I mean, you could be listening to this podcast.
That's right.
you could skip the entire Taylor Swift
We never
phenomenon.
talk shit on this podcast ever.
Never. You could skip the entire Taylor Swift phenomenon. We never play any Taylor Swift on this podcast, as far as I'm aware.
No.
Nothing.
No.
That's why you should. I wish we had a Patreon we could sell. You should subscribe and like and share this video and tell your friends and I don't know, just
Find out where we live and send us bags of cash for now until we get more sort of digital.
Also nudes. Send us nudes.
Yes, that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, especially you, Jeff.
Thanks for the topic, Michelle. I don't know why I heard
Yeah.
nudes and then I thanked Michelle. I don't know what that's about. Sorry, Michelle. Sorry.
Guys, please send us topics. We love it.
Yeah,
Like
thank you.
as you can see, it actually does happen sometimes. So if you do have some advice for a topic, email us, send it to us via Dietz Old Mountain Studios. He loves it. He loves it. The more sweary the email, the more Dietz loves it.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come out of his cave. Who knows? Who knows? It could be a miracle. Right. Good. Thank you, Ryan. That was
Thanks
a good
for
episode.
listening and
I'm out
watching.
of beer, so let's end this now. Goodbye.
Ciao, everyone. Bye. That was nice.